Y'all all welcome to the Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. Already hump day. Pray for our folks on the East Coast, though, no doubt about it. If you listen to of course, everybody thinks they know what's going to happen, but nobody knows what's going to happen. Same thing in politics. Nobody knows what's going to happen, but everybody wants to tell you what's going to happen. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Great to have you with us. A lot of stuff to cover. We're going to hear from Sheriff Steve Prator. And the reason we're going to hear from him is we got the governor in the lie. And even Greg Tarver says the governor lied. All that honor coach stuff. Anyway, we get to all that later in the program. Secretary of State's race is right around the corner. Been telling y'all, nobody's focusing on these races, and they need to be. We have Interim Secretary of State, Mr. Ardoin. Kyle, how you doing, bud?
I'm great. And yourself, man?
Man, I am doing superb. Hey, I know you just got back. Everybody's worried about, midterm elections. Everybody talks about Russians did this and did that. But you just came back. I think you're co-chair of the National Election Cyber Security Committee. So tell us what went on in something like that. Because I'm curious. When I saw that that's where you came back from, I thought, well, let's see what's new.
Well, Moon, it was a very good summit meeting with 15 secretaries of state participating and a lot of local election officials along with staff from each secretary of state's office. We had interaction with the Department of Homeland Security. The secretary herself, Secretary Nielsen, came in, her undersecretary, Mr. Krebs, and then U.S. Senator Blunt came in and visited with us both privately and delivered talks on these issues and the perspective from Washington, and then we were able to share our perspective from the state side.
Yeah, no doubt about it. By the way, I don't think there was any Russian collusion between the president. There was a poll out, 63% of the people said they don't believe that happened either. Nothing illegal was done. But can somebody actually break into 50 states and affect the election? I'm asking you. I don't know that. I don't know that to be true.
I don't think so, and here's why. Because there's over 9,000 entities that have jurisdictions over elections across the country, and especially in Louisiana, we own our own machines. They're never connected to the internet. There's no computer that programs that's ever connected to the internet. We have chain of custody with regards to it. I guess I was most pleased with all the presentations that were made. Louisiana is at the forefront of defending ourselves from any possible attacks. I think what we've been warned is, and what we've been asked to express to the voters is, be careful where your information is coming from, because what the Russians are really doing, and the Chinese and others are really focusing on social media and trying to disrupt the political process. It's propaganda, it's cyber warfare, if you will.
Yeah, and that's what amazes me. That means nothing could have happened in the last presidential election. Nothing can happen because you just said you're not really tied to the internet. When I go vote on the machine, that thing's not tied to the internet, is it?
Not at all. No, there is no mechanism inside that machine that allows any interaction from the internet.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But once again, people read that in the newspapers. They talked about collusion and all that. There's no way to change a vote like that. There's no way somebody outside the system that y'all work in can change a vote. That blows my mind. It becomes all that's political bunk. Now, I guess you have to be concerned about it. But
absolutely, yeah. We need to remain vigilant on it. As our motto at this point is defend, detect, and recover. Bottom line is, our defense mechanisms. If people are worried about when someone goes to the polls about tinkering with the machine, the only way to tinker with the machine is to get into the back of the machine, of which we have secure tabs on those things that seals that would have to be broken, and then they'd have to open the machine, and that's without being detected with at least 3 commissioners were sitting right there by the machine, and one of them operating the machine with the voters. So the reality of that is, it's far from our belief that they can do this, but we remain vigilant and we train our commissioners to look for any possibility of that.
I know, but boy, I tell you, when people that read the newspapers and believe that stuff could have went on and changing votes in precincts and changing votes in state to affect the election, that's a bunch of bunk. I mean, don't get me wrong, I agree with you. we better stay on top of it, because I know there's people that are trying to do that. No doubt about it. I would agree with that.
Well, when paranoia breeds contempt breeds action, and as long as we are defending ourselves and working to detect any kind of shenanigans, then we can protect ourselves from it and recover from it, and we move forward. I will tell you this, it was very clearly reiterated in private meetings, both with Undersecretary Krebs of Homeland Security and as well as U.S. Senator Blunt. The feeling from Washington is that the sooner that we can move to the new machines that we're working towards, the better Washington's going to feel, and the voters will be able to make certain that their vote's being cast. It's just that extra insurance for the minds of the voters. There's nothing wrong with the machines as they work today, but as you know, we need to start moving into that new process. So Washington's watching very closely. There is talk about possibly, new funding mechanisms to assist states to move into this, and that way, after an election, if there's a challenge, we can more clearly delineate the votes through the paper back up.
Yeah. Kyle Ardoin, my special guest. Look, I got to ask the question because it's still making paper and headlines about the bid system on the voting machines. There's still some candidates that are making a big deal about it, saying we need to go back on the system. Would you explain to people, in your opinion, the bid process, what happened? And I know there's some people saying that I remember 10 years ago or so when this was done, the people that lost the bid said the same thing. I don't know if something happened or not, but I just want to get you out of your words of what happened or what are they talking about, because if you read it, I know there's been some articles on the bid process, and if I recall, the lowest bid, the company with the lowest bid got the bid. Is that correct?
That is correct. Not only that, they scored higher on every portion of the grading system that the committee utilized. What's frustrating to me is these individuals who are running against me for Secretary of State are trying to make political hay out of something that is so important to the election process. Our job is to put confidence and build confidence with the public on this election process that we utilize, and people look to us from all over the country as to how we do things. So we're at the top, and they profess they want to be at the top, but the bottom line is all they're doing is breeding contempt for our system and confusion. And the bottom line is there was nothing wrong done in this process. We followed everything. We dotted all our I's, crossed all our T's. We worked with the division administration. They led us through this process. And the reality is they're just making political hay because they have no other issue to talk about. They really, can't criticize the way the office functions and how we do elections. They're just going to criticize the RFP just because a company has protested, which happened in 2005. They even went to court and lost. It's the same exact scenario this time as it was last time. I guess my opponents just really don't understand the RFP process.
No, well, the reason I'm asking is it has been made political. It has hit the newspapers and some of the press people that wrote about it. And I just thought that you were in the department, so they quickly associate you with that.
Right.
But I'm bringing it up because it is an issue with some people. And that's why I wanted to know the process, who got the bid, and things of that nature. And I say the process. I remember 10 years ago when the same thing went down.
Yeah,
the loser of the bid did the suit. And as a matter of fact, at least tell me if you go 10 years before that, it might have happened again that too. I didn't go back and check that. That this is kind of what happens because you only bid this out every 10 years. So if you don't get it, you're kind of screwed. If you do get it, well, then you're set for 10 years. I'm guessing that's what's taking place.
That's exactly what's taking place. You have winners, you have losers, and now we have challengers. So the bottom line is this market is so competitive. Moon, last time in 2005 there were 9 competitive bids. This time there were only 3. Mm-hmm. So just think how competitive this market is nationwide, and they're going to do everything they can to throw it out, cast aspersions, and try to get it redone so they can try to re-win. You know what I liken it to is the teacher gave a test. They didn't do well on the test, 2 out of 3. So now they want to redo because now they know what the questions are on the test. So they're just.
Let me ask you a question. How does and there's a lot of people in the race, This is a race nobody's talking about. I'm just being blunt. I've been around. I'm one of the few people that talk about it. I have interviewed several candidates, including a Democrat, on the deal. Are you concerned about people not paying attention to this? Because, see, everybody talks about 20-25% turnout. I think it's going to be closer to 10 to 15. I just don't think anybody's interested. That's a shame. We're looking at national races and things of that nature. That's just my perspective from being out and about. Nobody's, not just this race, they're not talking about the congressional races. And they got some local tax votes that people are talking about, but that's it.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of engagement at this point in time. I'm hoping that the public will start paying attention as things get closer to November 6th. But, this is such an important race. We have got to have a secretary that can take over seamlessly. Whoever takes over on December 18th, after the December 8th election, then they have to go right into qualifying. We have to prepare for legislative session, our legislative package. We have spring elections, and prepare for the gubernatorial election. And if all goes right, which I think it will, then we'll be beginning the process of getting the new machines implemented through early voting in the spring election. So much to do, little time for education, no real time for on-the-job training. We need a seamless transition, and I can offer that to the people of Louisiana.
All right, Kyle Ardoin, thank you very much. Good luck to you, and we'll see what happens.
Thank you, man. All right. Thank you, my friend.
All right, let's roll, folks. By the way, we've interviewed three or four of them now. We hadn't heard from Julie Stokes. We did interview a Democrat. I know we had, Redmonds? We had A.G. Crow. We had Ms. Free. So welcome to interview them anytime they want to. Surprised I hadn't heard from the mayor, the young lady that's running for the mayor. She has an interesting story. I'm not surprised I heard from Julie Stokes, but I am surprised I hadn't heard from her. Anyway, we take a break. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Just reminded people, we do have elections all over the country, but in the great state of Louisiana, we have elections in November. Runoffs for any of these elections will be December. Could you imagine, Brandon, if 15% show up and the Secretary of State, but just looking at the field, we're going to have a runoff. So if we have a runoff, if it's 15% that show up in November, we think the percentage is going to be in December.
Oh, my gosh.
When people are thinking about Christmas and ball and kids winding down for, we'll be past that. But the point being is they'll be winding down school, finals, all that stuff will be going on, and you sitting here hoping to get 10% out. Mm-hmm. And that's a shame, but that's where we headed at with nobody looking at these races. And I told y'all I don't want to get into who to vote for, but I'll say it again. To vote for Julie Stokes is a slap in the face to the state of Louisiana, and a slap in the face to the Republicans and conservatives in this state, and a slap in the face to the people that voted in the legislature to change what's going on. It just is. By the way, we talked yesterday about teachers' pay raise. Now, I had this sent to me. This is the public school annual spending per student, 2016, Brandon. 2018 has not even been counted yet. So it's a year back is all it is. Okay, we want teachers' pay raises. Okay, that's the big deal. I told y'all that was coming. Bel Edwards wants that in there. He wants that. There's not going to be any Republican that's against it, and we're not at the Southern average. But check this out. Here's some numbers. If these numbers are correct, let me just say that. Louisiana spends $11,038 per student. According to this, governing.com, an annual survey of school system finances, U.S. Census Bureau. It's where the numbers come from. Virginia is number one in the South at $11,438 a student. Number two, spending in the South for education is the great state of Louisiana at $11,038. So why do we have to come up with any more money to raise teacher pay when we're already spending more than everybody? And don't come in and we got more poor people. We have any more poor people than anybody else. All these states got poor people. You tell me Mississippi don't? And Oklahoma don't, Texas, now Florida has no poor people. So here's what's funny. The Southern average for spending per student is $9,521. The Southern average. Okay? We're spending $11,038. We are spending over around $1,500, $1,600 more per student than the Southern average. The United States average is $11,762. We're closer to the national average on how much we spend for students than we are the Southern average. Yet our teachers make about $1,000 less than the Southern average. How can you spend that much money and not put it in a classroom with teachers? That's the big point I'm making. You were spending plenty of money in education, folks. We're just not getting a return. By the way, I don't cut teachers for that. Teachers have to put up with the bureaucracy of government bureaucracy from the federal and state government. We spend a lot of money here on students, folks. We have focused on education. We spend a ton of money on universities, too. But, yeah, we're not getting the results. Why is that? How come every time it's more money, but we never get the results? How come every time we give people more money and we don't get the results, we don't hold them responsible? It's like, okay, we need more money. It's no different than the hospitals. Has David Calico called? He didn't call?
No.
More money. No.
We
don't, that's all they talk about. They get the money and they don't have to answer to anybody. Oklahoma's, out of 13 southern states, Oklahoma is last. Mississippi second to last. North Carolina, Tennessee, Florida, Texas, Alabama, Georgia, Arkansas, Kentucky, South Carolina, all spend less money than us. And every one of them, with the exception of one or two states, are ranked higher than us in education. Now, look, I'm not going to get on the bandwagon to stop teachers' pay raise. I wish teachers would get on the bandwagon to stop being used as pawns from the politicians who continue to use you as pawns so they can be elected. That's what I wish they would stop doing. You know, it's a sin and a shame. Teachers have to be used like this. But if they get used next year, you know, once again, to turn around and vote for Bel Edwards and these politicians is ridiculous. Southern average 9,521. We're paying 11,038. Second in the South. Unbelievable. But yet, we're going to hear about it next year. Got to get them teachers' pay raises up. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Sheriff Steve Prator will join us when we get back. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Well, we're excited around here for a lot of things. Especially to my right.
Wow.
Bernie, you're to my right. I hope that's not harassment.
Y'all are both busy, so I got to take this and go.
You'll be our taste tester today, Bernie?
Yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about the cheesecake when we get back.
That is a cheesecake unlike any I've ever seen. Well, that looks amazing.
It's a cheesecake like any you've ever eaten. Trust me. I just promise you on that. Anyway, let's jump gears. I've invited a Caddo Parish Sheriff, Steve Prator, to join us. Steve, how you doing, bud? Steve, are you there?
Nope. Here we go.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got you. Well, first of all, let's go back a little bit. You know, we had all this quote reform in our prison system that you disagree with. Landry disagreed with it. A lot of people did, and y'all were very vocal about what was going to happen, and it has happened. Some people have gotten out, killed people. There have been people that have been raped. There have been people that have been hurt. And people are going back to jail. And your bride, Carolyn Prator, was nominated for the Red River Waterway Commission, something that should have been a no-brainer. She should have been put on it because she was qualified. I think you'd agree with me to what I said so far. And you were very upset that you felt like the governor was very vindictive in doing this. And then they came back and said, oh, no, y'all turned it in too late. And I remember because it was in the articles. And basically, it was nothing to do with the source, so we got the governor telling a whopper. Now, I want to bring this up to you because I think you have told the truth on the whole process. The governor's own guy, Greg Tarver, Senator Tarver, let me quote him in today's newspaper.
Just don't quote
I can't quote everything he said. He says, Greg Tarver, Senator Tarver, says he knows Edwards rejected Prator's nomination out of revenge because the governor told him so. Now, I'm going to stop right now. I'll read the rest of it in a minute. So I want to get your comments on that because Senator Tarver is a big Democrat. He's a big Democrat. He's a big Edwards supporter. And it goes totally against what Edwards has been telling people in the press, that your wife didn't make the cut because you didn't turn it in time.
Right. Which this is really her deal. She's committed the last almost 10 years to the Caddo Levy Board, where she's been president, vice president, and she's done so many things with the Levy Board. And she really does a great job there. She's very qualified. And he rejected her nomination, that all three bodies in Caddo Parish nominated her and only her for this seat. She rejected it and told Senator Tarver that the reason he rejected it was because of the fact that I had been critical of justice reinvestment. And so I thought, I really think that's a very small thing for a leader to do. You don't attack somebody's family. But besides that, there's no women on the commission. Very few women have ever been on the commission, the Red River Waterway Commission. She's highly qualified. It's not a paid position, so it's not like anything that she's wanting to do for money. It's a volunteer deal. And it's just ridiculous that someone that's highly qualified is passionately involved in river reform, that has lost their house and considerable money to a flood, which we did, and then to reject her because of something that I, as sheriff, did.
But when you made the point that you're only doing this because it's me and I was against what you did, he said, oh, no. And they made a big deal about how it was turned in too late. And there was a disagreement on when it should have been turned in. And this hit the newspapers, and the governor was adamantly about, no, I wouldn't do, honor code, I wouldn't do something like that.
Right, and it was not turned in late. It was turned in within the time that the vacancy was announced. It was turned in within 30 days of that. So that's not it. They went from, it's gone from it's turned in too late. When we countered that, or when she countered that and it was proved, then it went into, well, I want more diversity on the board. I was told that just yesterday. Well, this is a woman, and that's pretty diverse, and a qualified woman at that. And so when that is countered, then it goes into, it was a campaign promise. And for someone else, some Senator Lanou or something. And when that's countered, and when Senator Tarver comes up and says, no, that is not what the governor told me. The governor told me he was getting back at Prator, who said bad things about him.
I don't remember you saying bad things about the governor. I do remember you challenging what they were doing. That is a big difference. That's a big difference. That's what we do here. We challenge what they say and do. And I don't remember you saying anything bad about him. You just was being blunt. Now, one of y'all's being honest, and Mr. Prator, I think it is you. Let me just quote Tarver real quick on a couple things. Tarver, the governor told me he's not going to appoint the man's wife, Carolyn Prator, because the sheriff had been talking about the criminal justice system. By the way, you have. You're not denying that.
Right.
But let me move on. Despite Tarver's exposing the governor's motive in rejecting Prator, Edwards' spokesperson, Sanford, continues to deny revenge as a factor. The comment made by Senator Tarver is absolutely false. The governor did not say anything along those lines. Sanford told KTBS TV in Shreveport, quote, Greg Tarver, and I can't say the whole word, he says, I wouldn't give a SHI what she says. It's what he told me. Tarver said he confronted Edwards after the governor denied the version of the conversation. Tarver said Edwards told him he remembered the conversation differently, but Tarver says not only did Edwards admit taking revenge on Prator because of her husband, the senator also says he warned the governor not to do so at the time. I told him it's a bad idea then. If you want to jump the sheriff, then jump him. But there's nothing wrong with that. But you don't go get involved with a man's kids or his wife. Tarver says if Edwards had asked him to keep the conversation private, he would have. He did not say anything about confidentiality. It seemed like he didn't care if the man knew or not. He didn't. I didn't either. That was Greg Tarver, but yet you got spokespeople coming on for the governor saying that, oh, he wouldn't do that. So we got a bunch of lying going on, as it looks like to me.
Right. There's somebody that's not telling the truth, and I'm convinced who it is. But regardless, I mean, the governor was very upset that I was vocal against criminal justice.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And he was so upset that he called and wanted me to come to Baton Rouge, and I told him I wasn't coming to Baton Rouge. I didn't have any trips planned there. And he said, I told him I was going to Alexandria, and he said, I'll meet you in Alexandria then. So the governor met me in Alexandria and he was very upset about my criticism of justice reinvestment. That's been some time back. And so, that's how passionate he is, or how personal he took it, that I differed with him and this criminal reinvestment. And there's so many things about that I could tell you that the public does not know, but it's written. All you got to do is look at the website, Department of Corrections website, and you'll see these things that are written.
By the way, Tarver also said, why would I lie on the governor? And that tells me a lot right there. I mean, he stood up. And like I said, I know Tarver politically, don't know him personally. You probably know him personally. I'm not in depth in his politics, but Tarver has no reason to go after the governor like this. None whatsoever.
No, and Senator Tarver and I, we differ politically, as you might suspect, but we do have a personal relationship, and it's one built on honor, and it's one built on we don't lie to each other, because I don't lie, and I don't think he does either. And so, he's been very straight up on this matter to his own detriment with his relationship with the governor and probably some other senators like the fellow in Alexandria.
Well, look, I didn't call you to get you to talk about and I didn't know how much time you had left anyway, about the criminal justice. You mentioned that there's some other things people need to know about. Is that something you're willing to come back and talk to us about?
I'd love to, because my mission, I gave a speech yesterday, my mission is as an expert in the criminal justice field to expose some of the things. This is not just a few people, nonviolent, let out a few days early. Let me do this,
Sheriff. I got to take a break. You think you can come back and talk to us maybe 10 more minutes about that? If not, I'll get you another day. I can get you another day.
I'd rather come back and do a 10 or 15 minutes on it.
All right. What we'll do is we'll do this. I'll get back in touch with you, and we'll do it, because I want people to know the other side. But I'm glad this came out, that you were telling the truth. And the honor code governor, well, there's not a lot of honor in that honor code. All right, Sheriff Prator, do appreciate it. God bless and best of luck. We now see that your wife was snubbed out because of politics.
Yes, sir, and she's highly qualified for it.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. We'll do it again. God bless. All right. Brian, when we get back, a couple other questions about this I want to throw out there. This guy ran on a West Point honor code. Don't look like a lot of honor code going on in the governor's office. The governor put his foot in his mouth, the honor code stuff, and we're going to play a little honor code commercial in a minute and let you hear what the governor said when he was running. And yet we got him in a lie. I mean, Tar was sitting there upset with the spokesman saying, well, he never said that. And Tarver said, yes, you know what, he didn't. I heard him. She wasn't even there. Tarver said, why would I lie on the governor? The governor owes this man an apology, and he owes the state an apology for lying. Why this took place. Look, we all know Prator didn't like the prison reform. There's not a whole lot to like in it. They trying to save money. That's the prison reform is saving money and win political points with the left. They want to let everybody out of prison. And the bottom line is, Brandon, I think you got this ready to go. Here's the governor when he was running for office on the West Point Honor Code commercial.
The Honor Code at West Point states, a cadet will not lie, cheat, steal, or tolerate those who do.
It's the foundation of our military academy.
And we chose John Bel Edwards to guard that sacred code.
He's a man of real honor and integrity.
John Bel doesn't just talk about his values. He lives them every day.
He knows what real leadership looks like.
And he's never afraid to stand for what's right.
Yeah, he's never. And listen to that bunch of. I told y'all, there's honor code maybe at the West Point cadets. There's no honor code in politics. I told y'all that. He's proven it once again. So the governor tells us, oh no, he didn't produce the name in time. Tells Tarver, this is politics. I'm not doing that. Tarver was upset. Tarver was upset throwing SHIT words about his spokesperson. He's hot. All that West Point stuff comes back, folks. I knew that would come back to haunt him. All that stuff, well, he's a conservative Democrat. No, he's not. There is no such thing anymore. He believes in the Second Amendment. Well, where was he when the fighting took place against the banks who are trying to do gun control through the banks now, when Jeff Landry stood up, and Blake Miguez stood up, and Schroeder stood up, and Barras stood up? I know I'm missing some. Those guys stood up and say, heck no, we can use other banks for the bond. All Edwards' people were for the banks doing gun control through their policies.
Don't forget about Mr. Ardoin as well.
Yeah, Kyle Ardoin voted that way. But all of Edwards' people, including John Alario, Senator Jay Lunatic, call him what he is, Jay Lunatic, all the governor's people, Matthew Blockhead. By the way, did he ever send our information? Never mind. I don't know why I asked these people, come on, we'll send you the information. We'll come back and talk to you. And you never see them people again. Never forget X and Bobby Jones. Bobby, if we disagree, are you going to come back here and talk to the people that you're talking to now? His favorite word, absolutely, Moon. Never saw him again. That's the ones that bother me. Republicans and Democrats, they keep coming back no matter what. That's why they keep coming back. They can't be honest. Steve Prator looks really, and his wife look really good on this one. Bel Edwards looks horrible on this one. Because he looks like he told a big lie and he got busted. And Senator Greg Tarver, who I'm no fan of at all, busted him in the chops by being truthful. Tarver's got to work with Democrats and Republicans back home. Even Prator said, look, we don't lie to each other. We don't agree with each other politically, but when we got to work on something, we will. I like what Tarver said. Why would I lie on the governor? But the governor gets all his free pub and all his free stuff in the press, and they don't go after him. They too busy thinking he's going to win re-election. They too busy thinking, well, the people overwhelmingly voted for him in. But then why are y'all writing all these stories against other people? Why don't they come out with a story? The headlines is real simple, Brandon. Bel Edwards lied. He should apologize. What's wrong with that? The governor lied. He got busted. According to the honor code, that's not something they're supposed to do. But they lied about the budget when they told you we had a $2 billion deficit. They lied about that. That is an absolutely big-time lie. They said that so they can promote how great we're doing since we raised all these taxes. We never had a $2 billion deficit in this state in the last few years. Not even close. 1.2, something like that maybe. And let me tell you how I can prove it. Not only have we, quote, covered the deficit, we got plenty of money for higher ed. Plenty money. Plenty money for higher. We got plenty money for teachers' pay raises. We got plenty money for everything because we raised too many taxes. If you had a $2 billion deficit, you had to catch up and then start spending new money. They caught up awful quick, didn't they? And they didn't cut $640 million. There's a lot of lies with the governor. Them saying they cut $645 million, which, by the way, Brandon, they've never proved. That was an absolute 150% outright lie that the governor put out. They cut $645 million out the budget. Why wasn't nothing cut? Why were they protesting? Why didn't Calicut and them hang signs when they were doing that? Why didn't higher ed get upset? That was absolutely a big lie. And there's more. And we'll know more about them as the elections come around. So I wouldn't going to raise taxes. I don't see any reason to raise taxes right now. That's what he told us too, Brandon. He told us that, and the only thing that's come out of his mouth in his legislation has been raise taxes. I'm not surprised, folks. What I'm surprised is anybody will vote for Edwards like we're moving forward some kind of way. They got to convince us that we are moving forward. And the bottom line is we're not, and that's a shame. We're too good of a state to sit back and constantly do what we're doing now. And it's very frustrating to me because I know we're better than this. But he's got busted on this one. The $645 million that I approved back when he was saying that early in the year, there was no cuts. There was no $645 million cut. And matter of fact, when the great Jay Darden, the co-governor, was on with Aaron and Robert, talking about how we cut the budget. He got up to about $1.2 billion, and they said the rest of the $2 billion deficit was $645 million that we cut, which was not true. And we got Jay Darden saying he would have never said that, but he says it now because the governor told him he had to do it. And co-governors, you got to work that way. Anyway, kudos to Sheriff Prator. He was right, and Edwards lied. And we need to get out of all this lying. It's ridiculous that the governor can't be honest. As look, you don't like Prator. You don't like that Prator doesn't like your prison reform that a lot of Republicans voted for, which I think you let a few more murders take place next election year. There's going to be some representatives that voted for that they're going to get somebody run against them with some money and use that against them. You let something else break, something really bad break from somebody that got out of prison early when they shouldn't have. All right, Brian, we got to take a break. 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline. Take a break. Be right back. Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show on the road. No, I'm not. I'm saying.
Oh, my gosh.
You know, it's amazing.
Awesome.
I've been on the road so much. My next guest, I was at their place, and that's why I said that. Brett Munson, First South Farm Credit. Although, Brett, I wasn't at your place in Monroe. I was at the new one in Lake Charles and had a lot of fun with the gang. And first of all, good to hear from you.
Yeah, how was that down there? Pretty nice place, huh?
I tell you what, that was a beautiful place. They had it in the right place where everything was growing. Got to talk to a lot of guys and ladies from the office, and I think they're going to do really well, but y'all already been doing really well. First South Farm Credit, take us through exactly what y'all do so people can understand that y'all been around for a long time helping people live the American dream.
Yeah. Well, what we do on a day-in, day-out basis is pretty much anything agriculture, Moon, helping people with their farming operations, farming equipment, anything you can think of on the agricultural side. And we're starting to get real big into helping people with real estate transactions as well. Timberland, timber operations, hunting land, anything of the sort.
Yeah, so if somebody has some land they want to look at, I tell people, y'all kind of a one-stop shopping center. You can help with all the financing. That's not a problem. But you guys are good about going out and evaluating what they're wanting to buy, what it's worth, what may be some crop or some things that they can use and sell on the land. Just in general, y'all can help them find what they're really looking for and get it financed.
Yeah, we can, and a lot of people will come in and already have a piece of property picked out, and we can certainly go out and take a look and make sure that they're comfortable with what they're getting, and make sure that we help them understand a few things about what they're getting they might not have thought about. Some people see a piece of hunting land or a piece of land they want to do whatever it may be with, and they don't really think about that there's merchantable timber out there that could be used as income or to pay down the loan or anything they want it to be. And we're here to point out those things to them and make sure that they really have a good understanding of what they're looking at. And on the other side of that, if they don't know what they want yet, sometimes they come in and just ask us, hey, do you know of anything that fits a certain need I have? And we can certainly help them find that, too, through a lot of the partners that we have.
Well, one of the things that I tell people all the time, what you guys can do, I may go look at land of something I say, boy, I really want, this is what I'm looking for, and that's fine. You guys may come back and look at the land and say, let me tell you a lot more about this land than you saw and you can see because y'all have done it. You've been there. Y'all have been there so many times with so many customers. So let an expert help you look at the land because they may help you find a real interest in it, find the things in it that you don't see. That's really what you guys are really good at.
Yep, that's what we do, and we do it every day, and, we take pride in that. I mean, it's, we enjoy being able to help people with the financing at the end of the day, but, it means a lot to people to have somebody walk them through the whole process, not just the financing part and get them in and out the door, but really help them make sure that they know what they're getting and that they're happy with what they're getting.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. All right, Brett, real quick, give out numbers or websites where people can go to find out all about y'all. I highly recommend y'all use these folks. I've got to meet a lot of people that work in this company, and this company's the real deal, and they've been around for a long time.
Yeah, we've got offices all over the state, Moon. I'm here in Monroe, and we've got offices all over the place. people can call 1-800-955-1722, and that will get them in touch with the office closest to them, or they can just go to our website at firstsouthland.com, and they can find everything they need there, too.
All right, Brett. God bless, man. Thank you as always. First South Farm
Thanks,
Credit.
Moon. Have a good one.
Yes, sir. We'll do. All right, folks. Joe Scarborough yesterday did an op-ed piece. Some of you people heard this. Maybe some of you didn't. Trump is damaging the dream of America more than any terrorist attack ever could. I want you to think about that, folks. This is on the anniversary, the 17th anniversary of something that happened in this country that we ought to never forget, should never forget, where innocent people have died. Innocent people have died. Okay? Now we've had a lot more die since then fighting the war on terrorism. I mean, a lot. Now, here's a guy that used to be a conservative Republican on MSNBC, a joke, a left. How can anybody, these are the people that want to be back in charge with the government. This is what I don't understand. I don't know how Republicans are doing all over the country, but I'd be showing Joe Scarborough. I'd be showing Maxine Waters and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. I'd be showing Obama. He wants to be back in, bring him back in every election. I'd be showing what you're going to get. I'd be showing you what the crazies look like. These people, they're closer to satanic than they are crazy. Joe Scarborough, to make a comment like this, that Donald Trump is damaging the dreams of America more than any terrorist attack could. Let Joe Scarborough lose his family members on a terrorist attack. Let Joe Scarborough get a leg blown off on a terrorist attack. You got to remember, the people that have died because of the attack of 9/11 17 years ago is in the tens of thousands. It's not the 3,000 or 3,200 people that died that day. How many people out there listening to this program knows a family member that had a son or daughter that went to fight the war on terrorists that's no longer around? This is what the left Looney Tunes do. Steve Scalise said it best. The left is inciting a riot. This is what they're inciting. Let me give you an example of what happened yesterday. Let me give you some headlines. Suspect tries stabbing Republican candidate with switchblade. You know Steve Scalise got shot because of this rhetoric. Campaign sign used to defend cops. He cursed President Trump before the violence. Why? He's probably watching Joe Scarborough. Or watching Mad Hour, one of these nutted up programs that's called journalism. Mass shooting tweet threatens Trump hotel event. Trump's done nothing to these people. You realize Joe Scarborough used to be a Donald Trump fan? They loved him. Then all of a sudden, Trump was more dangerous to the American dream than terrorists and terrorist act. Listen to the headlines. Secret Service probes actors calling for the assassination of President Trump. Wyoming GOP office set on fire. Conservative columnist goes into hiding after rape death threats. The left is inciting this. Maxine Waters, Joe Scarborough, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS. They've already convinced most all blacks that Trump is a racist because they have nothing else to get people to go vote. They don't tell people black unemployment's way down. Trump's done nothing to hurt anybody in this country. He hadn't hurt women. He hadn't hurt blacks. He hadn't hurt white people. He hadn't hurt, he may have put a dent in illegals. Well, oh my God. What did he do? He got accused of splitting families up, Brandon. He didn't have anything to do with that. He's the one who stopped it. Everything is perception to the left. They want to win at all costs. They do not care what they do to this country. They don't care what they do to the Constitution. Can you believe anybody would be allowed to be on TV that would if they would have said Obama's more threatening to the American dream than terrorists, they would have been fired. They would have been fired. Unbelievable. Your comments, 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. I'll give you his lame brain excuse when he gets back, his lame brain apology, which really wasn't an apology at all. Take a break. Be right back. You're listening to The Moon Griffon Show.